Sie hören Sport und Musik.
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Soccer!
Soccer?
Soccer!
Soccer!
Fußball!
Fußball!
We got soccer and football this week. We got soccer and football. Fußball. Soccer. Soccer right here. We got soccer and football. We got the Bund and we got the Federation.
That's right. That's right. I think this was the first time I really got this music cue correct. I'm very happy with that.
No, it's very cool. It paused a little bit sometimes. That's the live show, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, this one I got this one right. Anyway, not that we.
It's a Will Smith song, which is apropos because you slapped the guy. Yeah. We probably would change the song at some point because we get copyright flagged for it every time. But what are we gonna do? Who cares? We're not making any money. We're just offering a fan service.
I'm gonna play my own tune.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. A Bjorn ballad. Nice Bjorn ballad for the Bund.
Yeah, the right.
For the Bund.
For the
Very
Bund.
Cool. For the Bund. Well, this week was International Week. All right, the leagues are over.
Nations leagues, friendlies. In my case, Nations League. In your case, friendlies.
We also had something called, what was it called? It was the winner of the Copa America versus the winner of the Euros.
The Finalissimo.
Was it the Finalissimo but it was even a longer term. It was like it's a friendly essentially, but it was like the Finalissimo of UEFA and CONMEBOL or something like that.
Yeah, Argentina against
Italy. And Argentina destroyed Italy. I want to say Messi had a hat trick. No, Messi had a hat trick the other day. Maybe not against Italy, but Argentina destroyed Italy 3-0.
He scored 5 against Estonia a couple days later.
That's what it was. That's what I was thinking of. And he was in Spain, by the way. My theory, he's like, it's good to be back in Spain where I destroy. And he destroyed Estonia in Spain. Because even though he's Argentinian born, he's been in Barcelona since he was 14. That's the Barcelona.
He destroys in Spain.
He destroys them in Spain. Not in Paris, not in Argentina, but in Spain.
He's been pretty good in Paris. He has not been.
I guess that's true. I guess I'm wrong. And he's about to be really good in his new team, Inter Miami. He is joining. We never talked about it. He's joining Inter Miami in 2023, I believe, next year.
That is not a true story.
Oh, was that fabricated? What happened?
Well, I don't think we know, but this is just one of those things, right? When it comes to MLS, the European media, they just make stuff up and it doesn't. Yeah. And everybody's just like, wow. People are like, the report said that he was coming to Inter Miami in 2023 and he was getting 35% of the team.
Which is bonkers. That would be what?
Which is like $150 million for like a season or two of Messi in his twilight year. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
That couldn't possibly be true.
That is what he's paid, though.
What?
In Europe, his salary is about $55 million a year. I think,
but that's still a lot less than like a salary plus $120 million bonus. I mean,
well, but what I'm saying is they can't pay him that much money, but they can offer him an in-kind stay. It makes no sense as an ownership group. It's like how, like why would you give away 40%
a third
stake of your
for
club
like
for
a guy who's
for a 37-year-old for 2 years? No, of course not. But then again, it's also Miami, so what's going on down there.
I mean, but it just sort of was one of those things where it's like somebody just kind of throws something out, and people are like, just passing it on as if it's fact, and it's like this doesn't even pass the even without any information, I have
Right.
no, I'm like, yeah, that's obviously
It's a
that's obviously
fail.
BS. Yeah,
It's a logic
exactly.
fail.
Does
There are
not
these
pass
guys.
does not pass the casual smell test.
It doesn't have to post out. It does not pass go. They can collect $200 with that idea.
Yeah.
I read an article about people that specifically try to make fake. They test. Speaking of litmus tests, they test like with silly seasons, always player rumors, and who knows what it's. Any sniff of a rumor gets published somewhere, so people test it, and they will come up with fake threads online on like soccer websites. And they'll with a fake account they'll play up this fake player that doesn't exist,
right?
Some fake kid who's amazing, crushing up in Leeds or something, and then a week later it'll be in the Daily Mail. It'll be like on their transfer rumors list, because someone snapped it up, and then they're like, we made that guy up. That person doesn't even exist, much less linked to Manchester United, whoever that. You know what I mean?
And then,
So
I mean, there's just so much need for content, and especially original content these days, that people will just will just go for it. I mean, it's like when Mino Raiola, they reported him dead right when he was still alive, when he had to then tweet, and I mean, it's all a little I don't know, it's all a little distasteful, but
media, baby. Social media, fast. So Lionel Messi is not coming to Miami. I guess we don't know if that's true or not.
I mean that story in that particular configurations cannot be true, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not. That's
I
not to
see
say
what he's like. I think he won't do well here because I think he won't. Lionel Messi is the world's best player, but he needs space and he needs time. And in Spain, you get space and time. In MLS, he'll have 3-4 guys going at his knees and on his shins every day, and he's just going to fall over and get fouled a lot. It's as simple as that. I mean, I would love to see him play himself out of it. I don't know, but I'm very curious because
he would crush it if he's healthy. He would crush it. I mean, he's
also 36 or 37.
He's incredible. He's incredible. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I guess it also depends on expectations. It's just one guy, like it's always one guy doesn't turn around. It's not like, I guess in hockey, one goalie can make a difference. Basketball, a couple players can turn around an entire team. Soccer, not so much. Like if you have a crap team,
right,
and then you have Messi on your crap team, then you're a crap team with Messi,
with a good dude who doesn't know what to do. You have to be, because like when David Beckham first went to Galaxy, they had no. He was surrounded by a bunch of college players, but they had no one to like. He didn't. He was just he kept, all he could do was cross it in, and then that's it. Nothing else. But there's also has to be there.
But then there's also a lot of people are also looking for these guys to fail. When they come here. I mean, I remember in NYCFC we had Pirlo, and Lampard and Villa, and. I mean, Villa was great. Like there's just no two ways about it. And Pirlo and Lampard are now talked about as like these total flops. And having witnessed all that, I mean, I thought Lampard was hurt a lot, and that there was first of all there was this thing about him arriving late because Man City then decided to keep him last second.
Well, he never signed a contract with MLS. He was
and that sucked.
There was no contract. Remember?
Right.
He signed some weird City Football Group
contract. Right. Well, and then also, I think he also was, if Man City says, "Oh, we need to keep you," what's he going to do? He's going to be like, "No, I'm going to New York."
But then they didn't use him. Remember, like he stayed at Man City and just sat on the bench for 6 more months.
Right. That was the support thing for him to arrive late, and then he got hurt. Then he didn't play much, and so there were a lot of problems in that regard. But whenever he played, I thought he was good.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
He scored a bunch of. I mean, he was like MLS Player of the Month a couple times. He went through this one period where he scored with every imaginable body part, including knee and nipple, and the ball would just bounce off of him into the goal constantly.
And
there was that game against DC United where he had this last minute turnaround. I mean, there were some memorable moments, and I thought he was pretty good. He's like, obviously. at the end of his career, but an intelligent guy. The shape of the team was always better with him in it than without. And he, would be in good spots and score. And Pirlo, similarly, I thought was pretty good for the, he obviously different, more deep lying position. He was more problematic because he could no longer really defend his position at the 6. So he always needed you needed to have an extra defender to kind of line up next to him. So that was more problematic, but he was also pretty good and definitely, like a pleasure to watch in a lot of ways, like a very smart.
But the passion wasn't. I mean, Andrea Pirlo was just collecting a check, hanging out. I mean, he was.
I'm not saying he was bad, but I don't.
He didn't come with the same passion. The fact that he had an extra defender help him defend is because he was lazy. Like, he's just a dude who wanted to do what he wanted to do.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. That's not true. I mean, that's just his game. First of all, he's never he's been. But they would. I mean, there was that clip that went around where he was covering the short post on a corner, and then somebody scores and he doesn't move much, but he didn't. But he didn't have to. There was nothing for him to do. It was like over his head, and it went like there was nothing he could have done about it. So I don't know. There was also a lot of. I don't think he was lazy.
Where he was also that clip where behind his back he pointed to his defenders.
Yeah.
Where the guy was going to throw it, I think, or kick.
There was in his first game. The first.
Right.
I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. The Pirlo debut. This is against Pirlo first game. He came off the bench. Came off the bench against Orlando. This is, I think, in July of 2015, like very early on in the history of the team. It was just magic. It was just an absolutely magical experience. Like, he came off the bench. People were super hyped. He just looked incredible on the ball. There were 2 goals that the team scored that kind of started with him, and it was just incredible. And then at the end of the game, he pointed behind the wall. Kaká, he was playing against Kaká, his old teammate.
Right.
And so he was pointing where his free kick was going to go. Kaká had a late free kick, and Pirlo called it behind the wall to the goalie where he was going to put it. I mean, just crazy, incredible. And he had there were more moments like that. And I don't.
What season was that?
This was the first year, 2015.
That was a really good season. Do you know who won the Supporters' Shield that year? This was a magical season all around.
The Red Bulls did?
The New York Red Bulls won the Supporters' Shield.
Really? In 2015? Okay.
I think. There was
the other thing, and I also, to contradict your point that he was just there to collect a paycheck, he definitely was engaged, and
and she left him.
Best example was when the first. Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you said engaged. I said yeah, but then she left him. Anyway, the New York Red Bulls were 2015 Supporters' Shield champions.
Well, so there was also 2015. That was 2016 when the Red Bulls crushed us 7-0.
I was there.
You were there. I was too.
And we had a good year that year. I think we got eliminated in the conference finals that year. I think that was something like that. Yeah, we were like one game away from making the final.
But the game after that, the next time after that we played the Red Bulls, everybody was up for it. Everybody. And Pirlo, I remember that also very clearly. Pirlo was flying around, slide tackling people. There was a collective we're not going to lose this game, and we didn't. And
that's nice. Was that Red Bull Arena? Or Yankee Stadium?
That was also Yankee Stadium, and we won that 2-0. And I don't agree. I don't think he was. In his third year in 2017, it then immediately became clear that he was. That really he couldn't hack it. He couldn't hack it anymore. Right? At that point, he was 38, and it was clear. At that point, we also had Yangel Herrera on the team, who now plays in La Liga. We had Maxi Morales just arrive. And it was just clear that it was time for him to step aside and that his career was over. But yeah, I thought it was. I don't look at it as dimly as a lot of other people were like, oh, that was just a total failure. I don't think I think those guys were pretty good when they were there, and
it got worse. No one's as bad. You guys have never had a Rafa Marquez like the New York Red Bulls had a Rafa Marquez.
Well, yeah, who was like, but he's not a player of that caliber.
I don't know, man. I mean, you're right. Maybe he's not in the same breath as Andre Pirlo. But Rafa Marquez is one of the greatest Mexican players of all time. He played for Barcelona for years. He won Champions League. He was behind Messi. He was Messi's holding midfielder. He was a center back. He was the Mexican national team captain. Like Rafa Marquez is a Mexican legend, and he still played.
Yeah, for sure. Recently. But he's not like okay. Well, anyway,
I don't. I don't want to play. Andre Pirlo is an Italian legend. Italy obviously has a much greater footballing tradition than Mexico does. But Rafa Marquez was a Barcelona star.
Pirlo won a World Cup. I know, but Rafa Marquez won a World Cup, but he won Champions League titles and stuff. But I understand maybe there's a little bit of a difference in like. He wasn't the best player on the team when he won Champions League.
He was it's Barcelona. Who is the best player on the team? I mean, Messi.
Not Rafa Marquez.
No, but also not Andres Iniesta. Andres Iniesta's freaking world class. He's probably the second. If Leo Messi's the best like field general in the world, Andres Iniesta's the second best field general in the world. The dude was
he's not on. He's Rafa Marquez is not in that echelon. That's all I'm saying.
But he starts week in and week. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're saying Thiago, or it's like you're saying Alphonso Davies is not in the same echelon as Thiago. No, maybe not. Yeah, like Thiago, pretty much. And I'm like, I guess, but it's like they're both good players. They play on the same team. They both won titles together.
I would say they're on a similar level.
Yeah, then I mean,
obviously different age, different level of accomplishment.
I guess it's not like for like because I know Andre Pirlo won a World Cup, but like I don't know. That's with his national team. Andre Pirlo was a Juventus player for a long time, right? I think was this like big club, and then Rafa Marquez was a Barcelona player for many years. So they're both big, and then Barcelona won more titles than Juventus did during that period of time, at least in Europe. I think
you're not going to convince me that those two players are in the same boat in any way. But anyway, what you were saying, however,
for the New York Red Bulls,
he was a big deal. Yes,
both from Barcelona, both off their Champions League win. So 2010, very recently, and Thierry Henry showed up, and Rafa Marquez did the exact opposite. He skipped a lot of games. He really phoned it in. He did these terrible tackles. And then when he left the league, he made fun of the league, called it an amateur hour. And it's like he was really miserable. And it was just a bad experience overall. And he was like a $6.5 million a year player. He was making more money than anybody. And it was a really, really bad experience. So NYCFC hasn't had an experience. Like Andre Pirlo was not that. You've not had an experience.
He was not that.
No.
And
we've had a lot of big players.
I think there is also. I think that's also the difference, maybe between. Between really great players and just like kind of not so. Like I think
like we talked about this last week with Pogba. There are some players that make a good team great, and there are some players that make a bad team good. The better players make a bad team good. Someone like a Paul Pogba I think does well when everyone around him is world class. But when people are not world class, he can offer you nothing. So there's like Rafa Marquez, I guess, was under that. Where someone like Thierry Henry is like, no, I'm up front. I'll take care of up front.
Yeah, and he was exactly. He was very good. Player. Beckham did well. The Pirlos, the Lampards, the Villas. I think those guys, and then there's the Gonzalo Higuains or whatever who are just,
But there's also people that are just forgettable.
I think Pogba would also kill it in MLS, actually. But
his brother's crushed it in Atlanta, or did for a bit. But like that period of time, Frank Lampard played for NYCFC, and Steven Gerrard played for the LA Galaxy. Remember? And it was like the two of them, and then they were in the league, and they were more. Steven Gerrard was more forgettable. Had a very forgettable stint in the Galaxy, and it was also brings me to my next conclusion, which is what I'm really excited about Qatar. Brits don't travel well. All right. So Steven Gerrard was in the sunny sun of SoCal, and he's like, I miss Liverpool. I was born and raised in Liverpool, the rain in Liverpool. I can't handle the sun, so he went right back to Liverpool, where he is now. And like people are talking about how England's going to be such a formidable opponent in the World Cup. I don't think Britain has ever done well outside of Europe, ever. So, I think in Mexico they did okay in 86. I think in 1970 they did okay, but those are the older teams. I mean, when was the last time England did well outside of the UK, much less Europe? Russia was good, but that's Russia. The Euros did well because they hosted. It was at Wembley, right? Their game, they lost at Wembley to Italy. So now they're in Qatar, and the Brits don't travel well, and they're going to burst into flames. So I'm very curious.
Okay.
What kind of tournament they're going to have. I want to make a bold prediction, Bjorn.
Let's hear it.
I think England's going to get last place in the group. I think Wales and the United States are going to get through.
Iran is going to be,
and then England will get last place. That's what I predict.
That's okay.
Why not? Remember
Why not predict it?
Remember the 2010 World Cup? Like, they were eliminated in 8 days. They lost to everybody. They lost to Costa Rica, I think. They lost to everybody. They were eliminated right away. Or was it 2014? I forgot which one it was.
We'll see. I don't know.
But bring us back to the national game. All right. Wales booked themselves a spot. The Ukraine beat Scotland. And then Gareth Bale, the Welsh maestro, got a great free kick in to eliminate Ukraine. So the Welsh have booked the spot. Now, if a computer generated these games, those would have been the results. Ukraine is stronger than Scotland, but Wales is stronger than Ukraine. On paper, that's what it looked like, and that's essentially what happened.
Well, Wales got very lucky in this game.
Well, it was a good free kick. I mean, I didn't...
but the Ukraine... their keeper, what's his name? He's named after the Hennessy.
Wayne Hennessy, yeah. Wayne Hennessy had a great game.
He had a great game, but that was just crazy that none of those went in. He had it was a little bit like the Champions League final. It was kind of like you thought the Ukraine was going to pull it out, but they didn't.
No. And it was also in Wales, right? It was in the UK, I believe. So
right.
Welsh.
Yeah, also a little bit unfair in terms of the schedule. I was thinking that, Ukraine had to play on short rest and on the road twice, and I guess that was all. But I think I think the Welsh got pretty lucky.
But the USA Wales game is going to be a lot of fun because the Welsh have a lot of quality, and I don't necessarily think the Welsh are stronger than us. I don't necessarily think they're a lot weaker.
So Wales is going to beat England in your scenario?
Yeah. Wales are going to beat them 1-0. Didn't Wales beat England at the Euros last year? I thought they played each other last time.
I don't see it happening. I mean, England lost to Hungary on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. The English are great. The English are doing really well under Gareth Southgate. They're playing better than they've ever played. They're playing better than they played in a long time. However, the British.
It's not gonna be enough to beat mighty Iran.
No, it's not gonna be enough to beat the. I mean, the British don't travel well. It's just documented. They all play in England. They live in England. They're on their train. They know England. They're isolationists. They're not really good at traveling. What I'm saying is no one ever takes that into account. No one takes into account how good a team. That's why the Germans are exact opposites. The Germans are amazing at traveling. Which, again, goes back to my theory of the difference between the Brits and the Germans, and geographically. The Germans are in the middle of Europe, so everybody's up on their grills, so they have to be adaptable. And the Brits are isolated, they do their own thing. And I think it affects how well they travel.
Germans historically always been super adaptable, never have imposed themselves on anyone.
Hey, no, but when they impose themselves on their neighbors, though.
Oh, my God. All right.
But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, the Brits the Brits opposed themselves. The difference between the Germans and the Brits, when the Brits imposed themselves on the world, they made the world in their image. When the Germans imposed themselves, they tried to do the same thing, I guess, but it was much more their neighbors. The Brits went further. The Brits we're going to go to different continents.
I think the Germans would have been just as happy to be a colonial power as anybody else, except they were just too late. Yeah. They came too late. Yeah.
Well, and it was taken from them after the war.
Right. So I don't
properly
know.
So, because the whole thing.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I agree with your theory. I mean, also the
all
other
I'm going to say, right? History has nothing to do with it. Forget history. Germans travel better than Brits do. That's all I'm going to say. Germans are better tourists. I don't know. Germans can move to sunny countries and just fit right in. Germans are everywhere, anywhere. The Brits do too.
That's
but
true.
It's hard to take a Brit
they
out of
tend
Britain.
they tend to just show up.
Right.
I also think in this case, this is going to be the great equalizer because everybody, Qatar, unlike other than Qatar itself, who I don't think anybody favors to win the whole thing. Everybody's traveling. I don't think nobody has any kind of home court advantage. And I think in that regard, it's all going to be a little weird with this weird time and weird place, weird weather.
Right.
So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But
well, much like Korea and Japan, because they were also a weird time.
Yeah, it's going to be weird results.
I think we're gonna have some weird results, and that favors the United States.
And the way you
favor England.
And the one you're predicting is
Iran 3, England.
Iran 3, England nothing. You heard it here first, people. The Schnitzel boys.
But anyway, we had some games this week.
You want to talk about the U.S. first, or the Germany? Games. The Germany first.
Let's talk Germany first. We're in Europe.
Okay.
Is that cool? Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we'll hear thoughts on our USA games. Some comments from Christian Pulisic. I don't know if you heard those, and just
how he was upset with the Americans, lack of Americans,
or the U.S. fans, because Grant Wall got in there with his politics, and it became a whole thing. But I'd love to touch on that a little bit. But that's for later. Let's talk a good
Germany
rivalry. Germany and Italy. Germany, I think, has only beaten Italy competitively like once, and that was recently, right? Germany struggles against Italy historically.
Yep, that's true. I definitely can remember many disappointments. We beat them in the Euro that one time in penalty kicks, long ago. Yeah.
In Euro 2016, I think, right? But that was like the first time they did it, and that was a bonkers penalty kick. So it went up to like 13. Remember, it was like weird.
Yeah, it was. It was very stressful. I was in this beer garden in Brooklyn. It was very stressful. And then we lost to Spain in the semis anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, I watched this game and I had some occasion to think about the thing about
France. We lost to France in the semis, real quick.
What did I say?
You said Spain.
I said Spain.
That was
okay.
20. That was 2000, and that was 2010.
That was 20.
I think it was a couple times.
2012. 2012.
And also 2012.
All right. Anyway,
Germany, Italy.
Well, it's like the German team is pretty good. It's a pretty good team generally, and they play most of the time. They have right now. They have this 9 or 10 game unbeaten streak going, but it's against the. I mean, we've played.
Sorry. What?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
A preview to maybe our next national team trainer.
Sorry.
Club.
What?
Sorry.
What?
What?
Sorry. What?
He would
So no offense to North Macedonia and Romania, but they're not. I mean, and it's funny, right? Because Italy is not at the World Cup. They lost to.
But they're very recent Euro champions.
They got creamed by Argentina a couple of days before. So It's not like Italy is necessarily head and shoulders above North Macedonia, for example, who almost, who beat them.
Right.
And so, but there is just something about it, right? These kinds of matchups, whether it's England or Italy or Spain, you sort of get a little curious. So I watched it and it was pretty dire. It's not a good game. And Italy was also heavily rotated. They brought in, they're not going to
from their final.
The final. They played a bunch of young players. That I'd never heard of, and I guess Mancini's mandate. He kept his job after not making the World Cup, and his mandate is now to bring the phase out the Chiellinis of the world and bring in the youngins, and he has time to do that. So anyway, this was
real quick. Now I'll say this for later. I was gonna say, isn't Chiellini also linked with MLS? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he's coming to LAFC, your team.
Yeah,
he's coming to LAFC. Yeah,
I'm gonna watch a little Chiellini action. I'm excited.
I think that's
that's a done deal, right?
I think Fabrizio Romano confirmed it, which is as good as a done deal as you get, I guess, these days. It's not an official announcement, but it seems pretty. It seems pretty substantiated.
Sorry.
Oh, I don't know why I keep doing that.
Well, anyway, so I'm going to say that's cool that he's coming home because I actually do like Chiellini. The man who Suarez bit famously in the 2010 World Cup.
So anyway, that lineup was not a imposing or scary lineup, and the German lineup was pretty much full strength, and it was just pretty lackluster, and not a lot of good possession, a lot of I think it was 68-32 possession at some point, so definitely kept the ball, but very, very harmless.
Who had for the Italians?
No, for Germany.
The Germans had the possession. Okay.
Yeah. But without really a lot of chances, and especially the wingers. Well, the front line was Gnabry, Timo Werner, and Leroy Sané, and it was just, I was like, this is not going to do it.
Well, Germany, essentially, Germany spent years developing themselves as a great possession-based squad, and to this day, they're excellent at possession. But what I've noticed over the last couple of tournaments, essentially since 2017, since the 2018 World Cup, is they're just not clinical in the final third. They can hold the ball, they can handle the ball, they can bring the ball up, but then when it comes to the final third, they have no ideas. They don't know what to do, and there's no knipser, right? We're lacking the knipser, the real sort of striker who puts him away, and often, this is also oftentimes teams just really kind of pack it in against Germany, and so they're hard to break down. But it's going to be hard. I don't know. There's just this vibe. I mean, first of all, the biggest issue, I think, just looking at the lineup, it's the fullbacks. It's just not. Germany does not have a lot of quality fullbacks compared to other countries. I think we had Timo Kehl. At the Euro, Robin Gosens was very impressive, I thought, on the left. But either he's hurt or he's fallen out of favor. Tom would like us to spell knipser. We have a video. Go on our YouTube.
There's a video about it. You got it right, except for the A. There's no A. Yeah. If you take out the A, then it's Knipser, and it comes from knipsen.
It's a German term.
It's like when you flip a switch. You like knips. You switch the light on. You knips the light on. So it's just doing something. And so that's what the knipser is.
Well, Gerd Müller was the greatest knipser of all time.
Gerd Müller was Klose was a great knipser,
and Goetze. You know what? Goetze was great as young and
Goetze
was. He still plays, isn't he? He's at PSV Eindhoven. He's been there for a couple years now.
Goetze not a knipser either, though. I mean, except that one time, which obviously we will.
The 2014 World Cup final was what was his name? The great blonde-haired player on the left wing, passing it to Mario Götze.
Andre Schürrle.
Andre Schürrle, and they were both young kids. There was a big moment, and both of them never, like, after that, it was just downhill for both of them.
Yeah, for both of them, they never did anything like it again. Yeah. I mean,
I think Andre Schürrle went to Fulham for a bit.
Which still, like, I'll take it, right? It's like you score a winning. You score a winning goal in a World Cup final, you'll just do just about.
Tom says, "Oh, you mean like how Areola is a kill switch for the U.S. national team?" Okay, shots fired. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll talk about the USA segment, but no love for Areola.
Everybody hates Areola.
MLS Player of the Month, Paul Areola, by the way. FC Dallas turned around their fortunes with one signing, and that man was Paul Areola, by the way. But we'll get into that later.
I don't think so.
MLS.
I don't think MLS Player of the Month will do anything to convince Tom.
that goal is rent free in my head. Talking about the World Cup goal,
unforgettable.
Mario Götze famously had a goal scoring machine that he would play with.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
that was exactly
it was
exactly like that, to receive the ball and then put it. Yeah.
And that machine made him ready to score that goal in overtime. It was a beautiful day and a beautiful game. The 2014. One fine summer in Rio for our young.
Yeah, it was. I got chills right now thinking about it. But
but this is not 2014.
This is not 2014,
and we wish Schlotterbeck.
We wish we had Schürrle and Götze, because we have. Well, I think I don't know. I meant to look this up. I'm wondering what happened to Robin Gosens, because I thought he was good in the Euros.
He was our big star in the Euros. He was
it seems that Hansi Flick does perhaps not rate him.
Oh, is he pulling a John Brooks or a Joe Scally on him?
He plays for. He was on loan at Inter Milan, and I guess he hasn't played very much. I don't know if he has been hurt or what's been going on with him, but he just sort of disappeared after having a very good Euro. And now we have Thilo Kehrer on the
right
left,
wing, right? Or left.
And. Who started on the other side?
Here, let me try to look this up.
Oh my God! Sorry, I had it just now. It was Benjamin Henrichs. I'm sorry, I just remembered.
Oh, there we go.
And he got a chance. I think it was, otherwise it'd be Lukas Klostermann, and David Raum came off the bench, and he was actually pretty good. But the fullbacks are just not. If you're thinking about world-class fullbacks like Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold, or even Zinchenko for the played for the Ukraine. There is nobody in Germany, and I mean that's always been the case for whatever reason. Like usually in the national team, you get some center back gets put on the right because there's nobody else. And
Torsten Flings to me was like a quintessential really good right back.
Yeah, that's true. He was a great right back. Philipp Lahm, of course.
Philipp Lahm was world class. I guess
was world class. So we've had some Joshua Kimmich but he's now playing the 6, which he's very good at. So that's also that's right. When he was playing.
So Neuer in back, Süle and Rudiger as the back two, Heinrichs and Kehrer as our defensive wingers, Goretzka and Kimmich as our 6 and our 8, and then Muller as he's number 13, but essentially the number 10 up there. Then Gnabry and Sané as our wingers, and Werner up top as the number 9. There's a lot of quality on that field, except for, you're right, the defensive wingers are maybe the ones lacking a little bit the most.
Everything on the wing was terrible in this game. It was the fullbacks. The fullbacks were not great, and both Sané and Gnabry were really poor. There was just
surprising.
a lot of.
Gnabry should be the number 10. Gnabry should be the dude who's stepping up. Gnabry has the potential to be Germany's biggest star right now. He really does. Because when he plays for Bayern, he's number 2 for Bayern after Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah, and he actually, in fairness, he had some moments, but just in general, in the build-up, there was just a lot of poor passing and just a lot of kind of sloppy. There was just this vibe which you get with these guys, with this team sometimes, where it's like, it's just not going to happen today.
Right. They just hold the ball, they pass it around, but up top, they don't really know what to do.
There isn't a lot of bite in the team. There isn't that person who's like, okay, let's find a way. Mach hin. Yeah.
Mach hin.
And
let's go. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
And I mean, Timo in his defense is a really hard worker. Right. But he is also an odd, he is not a Knipser.
He's a winger. He's a left
by any means,
winger.
And he really is a winger by design. And he doesn't. He goes out of his way to find the ball, but that also means there's often not a lot of people in the box. And Leroy Sané really was the worst offender in this game. He just couldn't get anything going and misplayed a lot of passes. He had a lot of giveaways and Hansi Flick
has so much talent, but he's very hit or miss. It's sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. It's just when he's there, he's freaking there. He has the potential to be world class. However, he's been criticized for his work ethic before. And I think he can really phone it in a lot. I don't know, or maybe his discipline.
Well, he just, I don't know, I don't know what he's at Bayern. He's played well for a lot of the season. He was he was very good, I thought, at City.
Yeah.
And but for the national team, it hasn't quite clicked. And I think, and I think that's going to be a I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see Gundogan be a starter. I don't know why, where he fits in. I think maybe we only need one. Müller can play on the wing, and we'll have I could also imagine, like this with Kimmich being the 6, Gundogan the 8, and then playing, and then having Goretzka go
up top as 10.
Go a little further up. And but it's just
Muller needs to be phased out at some point. Like I love Muller, but he's a little bit past
I mean, he was the most engaged, of those frontline players. But yeah, I mean, this game just really left me thinking like it's not happening yet. There's a lot of quality in the squad.
No minutes for Lucas Nemecha, who's sort of the future, maybe number 9 hope of the German national team.
Yeah, I mean,
he had kind of a sleepy season.
This World Cup's coming too soon for him. But
but just like the U.S., we have no number 9s. Like, who else is it going to be?
Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz, played the 9. No, he came off the bench, and I think he is going to start probably against England, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would.
And
but he's not really a number 9 either.
Well, but he did play that position for Chelsea a lot with some pretty good success. I mean, we don't have the Knipser. We do not have the Knipser. And we can pretend that Timo is the Knipser. He is not.
He's not.
He also Timo's confidence has suffered in Chelsea. Although he sort of came back a little bit.
It's time for Timo to find a new club. Maybe back to the Bundesliga or something. He needs to go somewhere where he's back to his old self again. I was about to say Kai Havertz is like he's like a shadow strike. He's like the Jesus Ferreira of the German national team, if you will.
Well, I think
obviously with much better quality. But I'm saying
I don't know.
He gets played in that position, but it's not really his position. He's just being played in that position because who else is going to do it?
Yeah, Tom is asking about the group that Germany's in. It's Spain, Japan, and the winner of the CONCACAF how do you pronounce that word? Oceania.
It's probably going to be Costa Rica.
It's Costa Rica or New
Zealand.
Probably
likely going to be. I would put my money on Costa Rica.
Probably.
So which is a manageable group. Spain obviously will be.
Yeah, Tom is saying a lot of the front 6 have suffered at Chelsea. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of damaged egos and confidences in that group. That's definitely true.
Romelu Lukaku, the only one who came unscathed, I guess, is Mason Mount. Other than that, everybody was pretty damaged. Hakam Ziyech was damaged. What was that other British dude with the 3 names? I forgot his name. Oh, Calum Hudson-Odoi has been doing okay.
Yeah,
but pretty much Chelsea has a lot of quality up top, and they're all damaged. No, 100%.
Well, there's too many. They have too many. Their squad is just over stuffed with talent. Anyway, so we're not going to find a Knipser. We have to do that with some kind of a false 9 situation. I think probably Kai Havertz is going to be the better choice. Like I said, I would like to see Gundogan get more. He was, when Toni Kroos was still playing, they were essentially playing the same position, so that was always a problem. And now there should be room for him. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the story is there. I don't know. This could all be worked out. I don't think we're going to find any like really world-class fullbacks, but there's a lot of potential. But on Saturday, I was just finding myself annoyed. Kai did pretty good as 9 for Chelsea, to be fair, says Tom. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I have a bias against the false 9, I guess.
Right.
I think I would like to see. I mean, I've said this before, even in the 2014 World Cup team, at that point, Miroslav Klose was basically a decoy. Like he was like 36 years old, and he was just there to kind of take up space and draw a defender, and then Müller Özil and Kroos and whatever would play around him. And
Kroos has still scored goals. Did he score 5 goals? He
no, he scored a couple.
Yeah.
He scored a few.
But Kroos, a guy like Kroos just doesn't. For whatever reason, Germany stopped making number 9.
It's
number 9s in general are just rarer these days for some reason.
There aren't that many, and it's too bad. Like I still believe. I mean, I love obviously this total football concept and tactical flexibility and people moving around. That's all good, but I think I don't know. There's just something to be said for having somebody draw a couple defenders versus the center backs just sitting there being like, all right, we'll see who comes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I was not too enthused with this particular performance. I mean, neither was anybody else, apparently, so people were definitely...
But under Hansi Flick, Germany is still entirely undefeated. He's never lost a game.
Yeah, and right? I think, and I do believe in him. I do believe in the way they're playing. I think there is a little bit more urgency, at least in theory, a little bit more for, like under Löw, there was, find someone who loves you as much as Jogi Löw loves a lateral pass between two center backs. Yeah. So, so there's definitely some improvement. I mean, on Saturday they just didn't execute. The wingers and the fullbacks, the passing was sloppy, a lot of giveaways, and they really against this, and they squeezed out a 1-1 against this sort of Italy B team that they really should have crushed.
In Italy or in Germany?
In Italy.
In Italy, okay. Italian Italy, whatever. They host England tomorrow. That'll be a big game, a nice rematch from the quarterfinals. That was also upsetting, but we don't have to go back there. Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, so they're not playing slouches. So it's not that they're losing. It's just you wish they were a little bit better, but they're holding their own against the other world's best. But again, it's since 2018, like 2020, the Euros from last summer was an improvement over 2018, but not a huge improvement.
Not a huge, and I think the same.
Okay, there's slightly better.
And it was a very sluggish performance, and then in the same way, I mean, when I think about that England game, it was the same kind of thing where they sort of fell behind, and we're like, I guess it's just. I guess it's just not happening today.
It went up to 75 minutes, pretty even. And Muller missed that sitter, which would have probably done it. And then after that, it was like England just grabs the rest of the game is all England. It's like, you take it because they had enough or whatever. So, yeah, it was a little weird. So, with this World Cup in Qatar, if it's the same, I'm expecting a similar performance to the Euros, which would be not amazing.
Well, hopefully it's a new, I mean, this is no longer Yogi. It is Hansi Flick. I do think this team's going to improve. They have some time. I guess they have 3 more games this window, and they're all Nations League games, which is like, I guess it's 25% above friendly, maybe. I don't know.
Sure. Didn't someone who just called them all a scam or called them friendlies? I forgot who it was. Someone came out and said they're just friendlies.
I don't know. I mean,
a German player. I don't remember.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
More power to him.
But I mean, the World Cup's coming up. There's not that many. There's a couple more games in September, and that's really it, right? The U.S. has 4 games left, I think.
Yeah, we have 2 games in the summer, and then we have a couple
2 games in September. And so, in order to trend, and so here's to you. I mean, as much as I fret about the German team, I still, of course, much rather be Germany than the U.S.
Like always. What I love about rooting for both of these teams, Germany and the United States, as a German American, is 2 totally different situations. One is rooting for a traditional powerhouse. One is rooting for a team where expectations are tippy top. That has its own burden as a fan and its own sort of analysis. Yeah. The other is rooting for an underdog who's new money. It's rooting for a team getting in there and improving and fighting against all odds, the underdog. And that's just exciting. So it's 2 totally different mindsets to root for both of these teams, Like Germany tying Italy, it's like, but if the United States went to Italy and handled Italy 1-1, that's amazing. Like, we take that. That's a great game for us.
For sure, for sure. I mean, they were celebrating this scoreless tie against Uruguay.
Uruguay. So USA had a couple of friendlies, and the other big thing, or what I want to say is, it's good to finally see the United States. Like, the United States played so many CONCACAF teams over and over again the last year and a half because of COVID and the qualifiers and the Nations League. It's just Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, Canada. Those are the only teams that are playing. Thank God they're finally playing teams from other confederations before the World Cup starts, because that's how you got to do it. So they played Morocco, which is the second best team in Africa, I think, on paper, and they played against Uruguay, which has been undefeated under Diego Alonso, former Inter Miami coach Diego Alonso.
Failing upwards.
One of the many strings of coaches who was fired very shortly, then immediately managed a giant national team.
Once you're in, you're in.
Frank de Boer, wasn't Gabriel Heinze too? Or it's just, there's been a few where, like, the minute they get fired after being terrible, 3 weeks later, like, the head coach of
Ralf Rangnick is now,
has struggled a little bit, but he wasn't a failed MLS coach. I think he was a failed England coach. So anyway, let's start with USA Morocco. USA had a very good, confident game with Morocco. What's the one thing I wanted to see? I wanted to see them create goal scoring opportunities, 5 to 10. I wanted to see them score goals. They did that. They scored 3 goals. The one negative I'd have to say is the U.S. do this thing where they hold tight. They're very defensive. And then when it's time for them to go forward, they just sprinkle forward. And, like, more times than not, just Christian Pulisic versus the world. He just takes the ball and he wants to Leo Messi past 4 or 5 guys. And he fails every time. Yeah, because the ball gets stripped from him by the second guy or the third guy. The ball gets stripped, and then we lose the ball, and the U.S. has to recover. That happens way too much, and for whatever reason, Triple G has not offered an alternative to that. He's like, we're going to hold tight, we're going to move the ball forward, total football style, and what that means is that Christian Pulisic just sprinkles himself forward and runs against everybody. And there you go. I would love for them to pass it more aggressively up top. I would love to Christian Pulisic to find support faster. I want to see that. But the U.S. has been working on set pieces, which is great. I think that's huge. It's overdue for the U.S. to work on their set piece work, and it showed. It was really good set piece work. And overall, they had a really confident game against Morocco. And other than that one thing where it was Chris Pulisic, I thought it was a good, strong, solid game and a nice 3-0 confident victory over a good, formidable African opponent that features a lot of great players,
Well, Morocco had not lost in a while before that. Yeah.
Right.
But
a pushover team. Yeah. And then, I'm trying to think exactly who the only, there wasn't really any super negative performances. I thought they all did really well. My only negative note was, like, Pulisic versus the world as a player. And afterwards, he criticized the U.S. fans for not showing up because the Moroccan fans were loud. Now, the controversy is that a lot of the Moroccan fans were also American. They were, like, Moroccan Americans and things like that. So Grant Wall, this whole thing of, like, what is an American and boop. But I think what he meant to say is the U.S. fans aren't showing up.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's unfair because the U.S. Federation price gouges these freaking games and makes it hard for fans to show up. You know what I mean? That's not on the fans. Like it's just unfair. Like, if you went on StubHub, those tickets were $300 to $600. Who the heck is going to go to that? You know what I mean? If you want to buy a reasonable price ticket,
sold them. They were, if you bought them through they were $300. That's crazy.
The secondhand market, the gray market. If you bought them from the Federation straight, they're like $100, which is still too much money for me, man.
How is that too much money for a national team game? $100 is too much.
Deutschland 25 Euro. Deutschland 25 Euro.
For the German, for the national team.
For a nosebleed seat, yeah. I looked into this. I'm telling you. The U.S., ever since Cordero became president, the U.S. tickets doubled or tripled. I know, but his whole campaign was we need to increase our revenue, and he did that specifically by price gouging the fans, so no other way. I know he's gone, but nothing about that changed. Maybe the CEO kept it going. So all I'm going to say is my little soapbox is, like, make it the federation. That's on the federation to do that. The federation needs to, a federation needs to pre-sell their tickets cheap. They need to spend a month with just U.S. fans pre-sale, get it to them, and then when 3/4 of the stadium is sold to U.S. fans, then open it up to whoever else wants tickets. That's how you get that done.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They just care about the bottom line. They just want people to buy the tickets at the top price, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be the away fans because it's a treat for them to see their national team again.
And Tom's making a good point too. He's saying it's the third game. Game in Ohio, it's like there's also there are all this calculus about where you should where you should play, like where there's only white people or whatever. That's also stupid. They should just do it at Red Bull Arena, sell the place out, and have the Moroccans be.
They haven't gone to the West Coast in a while, by the way. I'm here in California waiting. They had their camp here. They had USA Bosnia here, which I went to. But as far as like a full national team, they've stayed in the East. They stayed in Eastern.
Especially if it's a friendly. So what? I mean, if you're
playing California, playing San Fran. Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing I would say, I mean, obviously it was clear what Pulisic meant.
Right.
Even though I guess choice of words was unfortunate to call. Right. Those people didn't all travel from Morocco. They were
right. They were American citizens.
They're also Americans, but at the same time, it was clear what he meant. And it's also, when this stuff gets so dissected in such an unkind way, it's like then you complain about how players only give you like boilerplate answers.
Yeah, but who's going to fix it? The people are asking a lot from the fans. It's like, what about the federation? They coordinate everything. They're in charge. I was
just standing up for Pulisic, saying whatever, say what he wants to say. It's all right. You don't have to agree. True. I mean, there's reasons. No, this is all. It's all valid. It's all valid, and maybe this will. He had a great game, and maybe he had a beautiful. This will
assist.
Yeah, had a great touch. No, had a beautiful touch, and then pass it off to Brendan Aronson. Yeah, it was great.
Class. Yeah,
was an excellent game. Was an excellent game for the team. There was really nothing bad about it, except Joe Scally gave up a phantom penalty, but the ball don't lie and did not go in. Yeah,
missed the penalty. Yeah, that's right. But what were you saying a second ago?
I was saying how maybe Pulisic pointing this out makes a point to the federation to rethink the pricing strategy. If that's in fact true, if it's like
they're ridiculously expensive. They used to be cheap.
I have not looked into that. I'm
talking about the gray market. I think the way it works, people buy them up and they sell them on StubHub. You know how it goes. They gouge it. And it's like you need to do better, but like and like I've been to a couple of US games recently. The cheapest ticket I get my hands on were like I think $85-$90, and that was like high up in the bowl. I'm like, come on, that's ridiculous, especially in this day and age. Like the nosebleed seats should be cheap. They should be $20-$30. The $100, $150 seat sits down by the field. You know what I mean? They're just price gouging, and if they want to create a great atmosphere, like I've said this before, instead of getting a small little stadium at TQL, go book a giant football stadium, sell the tickets for a fraction of the cost, and pack that house with Americans. You know what I mean?
Would you get? I mean, yeah. It's also the overarching problem is like people just don't care that much about soccer in this country. Yeah. I mean, that is still true, even though it's improving.
Yeah, well, I'll say it's pretty freaking popular though. Like the amount of Angel City FC jerseys. When I go to hangouts, I can always talk soccer. Soccer got popular, man. And I know MLS maybe still struggles a little bit. I mean, here in LA, there's plenty of LAFC fans. I like talking LFC or Galaxy. But what I will say is national team is popular. The U.S. men's team have a following. European soccer is popular. But the U.S. men's teams we're seeing right now the TV rights. The U.S. men went on their own path, did great, and MLS are on their own, and they're struggling.
Oh yeah, it sounds like they really are struggling. Yeah,
the U.S. men's team is a valuable commodity, and I would like them to treat it less like such a business proposition and really cultivate. Like we're at a great time in this country where there's more fans now than ever. Have them come out. It's summertime. Have them come out. July 4th game. Have them come out. Pack on 100,000. Pack the Rose Bowl. Pack it with U.S. fans. Bring them out. You know what I mean?
Could that be done? Yeah. Okay.
If Stefan is president, U.S. soccer president, then
let's go. Let's go.
Okay. So anyway, USA Morocco, great.
Uruguay. Man of the match.
Man of the match of this match. Sean.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Say it. That's right.
Sean Johnson. Sean Johnson was man of the match. You're right. He on Reddit afterwards was like, you know what? I think Sean Johnson's our keeper now because people are a little too fast. But I think he definitely helped his cause to book a spot on the roster without a doubt. I think that happened.
We've talked about it before. Today. He's the only he's the keeper, only regular playing keeper, or will be anyway by the time the World Cup rolls around.
I thought
this was his eighth. This was his eighth.
Shutout.
Eighth or seventh or eighth.
No, it was like he played
shutout in a row
11 times or something, and 9 of them have been shutouts. Yeah. He has a great record. His limited record, but it's very good. And yeah, he had a really good game. Now, granted, his amazing save that saved us at the end, really, they headed it right to his leg.
Well, his positioning was good.
His position was good. His leg was still. I'm not going to take that away from him.
I thought his distribution was pretty good. He's been knocked for that,
right?
And rightfully so in the past. It's really improved over the last few years.
Right.
And is fine at this point. I wouldn't call it his strength, but I mean,
if we went to the World Cup tomorrow, it would be Stefan, Turner, and Sean John. I think would be the 3. And
I think Turner would be my number 1, especially if he's playing regularly. But I think Sean Johnson would be my number 2. I rate him higher than Stefan. Always have, really.
Right.
And
yeah,
not just, and I mean, I'm obviously a homer, but
no, but you're right. Like an amazing header, point blank save. Like Matt Turner and Sean Johnson have both done that. I don't remember. I can't think of when Zach Stefan's done that. You know what I mean? I can't think of point blank shot stopping as good as
and he's the point that always is made. It's like, oh, but he's so good with his feet, but he's also made a lot of blunders with his feet. He's very confident, but he's not. Anyway,
even Horvath is a better shot stopper when he's in form and on his game. Anyway, Sean John, Sprockets Horvath. He did great. The 2 poo-poos, I would say Joe Scally did not have a good game.
He did not.
And it's so funny because people are calling for his name. Where Scally was playing up Gladbach. Yeah. And then Greg Berhalter's like, he wasn't great in camp, guys. And then he did. He called him in because he couldn't. And then he sort of showed. He's like, see what I've been seeing. See,
I mean, he's a 19-year-old guy. He's figuring it out, and he did make some good adjustments eventually. Like he's
good one-on-one, but positioning it's a little lacking. He's good going forward.
Well, I think
good recovery.
He also got some. I think he got some mid-game instruction that was necessary, and I think that did make a difference. He kind of figured it out eventually, he did not have a good game.
That's the other thing with Joe Scally and with the other poo-poo of the match, Eric Palmer Brown. Those 2 guys are new, and maybe it's not necessarily their skill. Maybe it's just Greg Berhalter's tactics. Like it just takes a while to kind of figure out what he wants, and you're in your head, and it's hard for them to position. So. It could be a thing where like give him a little more time. But although I don't agree with Lexi Lawson much, afterwards he's like, Joe Scally not ready for the big time, not this, maybe next cycle. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think Joe Scally's for the next cycle, maybe not this cycle.
Probably.
I wouldn't mind him being on the roster as cover. Thompson looks confused and lost. Yeah, because again, part of me, which we've seen with these boys, is when you start with Greg Berhalter, you are in your head a little bit, and we're seeing the guys that have played under him longer get it more than the new guys. The new guys, I feel like they do have to learn. They have to study a little more than what we've seen in the past. And we saw that with Eric Palmer Brown and with Joe Scally. They seem to be out of position often.
We just gotta. I mean, the thing with Scally is he can play both sides, but on the left there really isn't a lot of. I mean, we all have to pray for Jedi Robinson's health, I guess, because there's nobody really. I mean, who's the number 1 backup on the?
It's not just. It would be Jedi Robinson and it would be Serginho Dest. He would be.
But Serginho Dest is on the right, no?
He is, but he also can play on the left. He's like a cover. So like, then the other guys after that would be Sam Vines, who was unconvincing, or George Bello, who you definitely don't rate.
who's really unconvincing. So
yeah.
And
then Joe Scally, yeah. So like I said, there is a chance he might make his way on the roster, especially if it's a 26-man roster, because why not? But bring an extra winger with you. And then there's probably one or two other left backs I'm blanking on at the moment. But Anthony Robinson struggled in the beginning too. He sort of built into it. Tom, you're talking about there was a guy from the Timbers who's a very complicated system.
Eric Williamson.
Eric Williamson, yeah, who I think is just coming out of injury. But Eric Williamson was good. I remember him being good for the U.S. But I think he's been struggled with injury a little bit, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tom, Scally struggled bad, but happy he got his wrong exactly, and not ready for the World Cup. That's my sentiments too. I think Scally is ready for the future, not necessarily for right now. But what I will say is overall, Uruguay came out swinging. Uruguay who was it? Some guy
as a non fan, I would say that, or not as much of a fan as you are, I would say that Uruguay should have won that game.
They had the better chances. There was that sitter in the beginning that they missed. The header who was it? Who was it? Was it a Diego Rossi? No, someone missed.
So
someone missed.
And then Cavani had an absolute sitter at the end.
And that's Cavani who missed that sitter. Like Cavani is supposed to hit those things. So that was like a gift. So you're right. Uruguay, whatever. I would
like to hear you say Uruguay at least 3 more times, please.
Uruguay. That's how the Brazilians say it. I'm very curious how the Uruguayans say it, Uruguayanos, because I love there's a great the Brazil-Uruguay call of 1950 where Uruguay won, I think 4-2, I believe, in the final, or 2-0 or something. At the end, the famous play-by-play guy, the Brazilian radio guy, because it was radio back then, was like 4-2 para Uruguay. 4-2 para Uruguay. 4-2 para Uruguay. It's just said like over and over again, as in like 4-2 for Uruguay.
What is happening?
4-2 for Uruguay. I guess it's 4-2 for Uruguay. Yeah. So I just love how Brazilians say Uruguay. Nunez had the header. Okay, got it. It was Nunez. But again, a very talented Uruguay. Same thing. They brought a lot of youngins. They're trying to bring through, and a lot of new blood with the old guy. A lot of their old hats were on the bench today too. It was Uruguay's bench, kind of was their younger team. It wasn't the same team that beat Mexico 3-0. Destroyed Mexico 3-0. So, but the U.S. held the ball well. They had some good chances themselves. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 goal opportunities that the U.S. should have taken too. So what I like about the game was a very confident, like match to match. Like Uruguay did not outclass the United States. It was a pretty even game. The U.S. held the ball. They might even have a little more possession. They also had opportunities. Uruguay had 7 subs. We had 6. And our subs.
Oh yeah, they just kind of. I guess it's old habits die hard, right?
I thought it was a rule. I thought you only could do 6, but I guess they're like, we could do whatever.
He fucked it up, and then they said, oh, I guess we'll just give you another one too.
Well, no, but the U.S. only did 6. And then on the Univision broadcast, they discussed it that they agreed ahead of time, that they agreed there would be a limited sub.
Oh, okay.
So maybe there was a miscommunication. So Uruguay didn't feel they were making a mistake, and I don't think the refs feel they were making mistakes either. I think the U.S. were just caught off guard because they were following the rules. But also, as a FIFA friendly, I thought that was a rule. I thought you couldn't break 6. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad it doesn't really matter that much, but I know it used to be unlimited, but then they changed it. But anyway, I just thought that was typical fun little thing. And it did ruin the second half wasn't as flowy as the first half because a lot of that confusion and stuff and change.
It looked sort of choppy the way the midfield advanced the ball. I thought Musa was really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, he was very, very good.
Adams and McKinney are not on that level in terms of advancing the ball and so it just
did fine. And McKinney is also coming off a huge injury, so I get
But he's never. I mean, he's sort of a wild man. He's all over the place. He doesn't really quite play a position, and he's really disruptive, and obviously he's good in that way. But he's not the greatest passer necessarily, and
he's a great header, by the way.
Yeah.
He almost headed into.
No, I think he's good. Oh, Tom is asking about the PK call. This was against Morocco, right? You're talking about.
Yeah, we mentioned it was a phantom
we
call.
That was just a terrible call. That was just wrong, and then
thankfully missed.
And then the ball don't lie, right? They say
ball don't lie. However, I want to go back. So Tyler Adams is our Franz Beckenbauer, by the way. He's the defensive holder.
First it was like Rafa Marquez is Andrea Pirlo, and now Tyler Adams is Franz Beckenbauer.
Then I said Timo Werner is the Jesus Ferreira.
Timo Werner is Jesus Ferreira.
And now Tyler Adams. He needs to. I think Tyler Adams is probably
and Paul Pogba is
nobody.
Is Rafa Marquez? Yeah.
No, I didn't say. I just said Paul Pogba only makes a great team great. Doesn't make a bad team good. But like Tyler, there was a moment when the Uruguay turned on a high press and the U.S. struggled for a little bit. So Sean John passed it to Tyler Adams, and Tyler Adams did a quick pass to get it out of there. And Tyler Adams ran back and solved that problem. Tyler Adams is our most underrated player, and he's our most biggest utility player. Like Adams.
He's highly rated.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is he's our most important player on the field. And when he's sick, we're in trouble. Like literally any other player is replaceable except for him at this point, in my opinion.
Where is he going to play?
He's the 6. He plays.
No, I mean,
where he plays Mame.
What club?
Oh, next year? Yeah. I don't know if I was him staying on RB Leipzig. When they stopped playing him, RB Leipzig started losing, dude. I mean, they need Tyler Adams. Like RB Leipzig had a really poor end of the season.
You should call him and tell him.
Who? Domenico Tedesco?
RB Leipzig. Hey, listen.
Hey, you need to play Adams again. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Tyler Adams is a great player, and people don't play him. That's their problem, not Tyler's. I think there are rumors of Tyler going to England, right? Or I think Weston going to England and Christian going to Italy.
All kinds of. I mean, there's all kinds of shakeup.
I would love if a lot of our key Americans went to go play for the same club, because it would only mean good things for a national team. Like imagine if Christian Pulisic and Tyler Adams and maybe Serginho Dest all went to Juventus this summer. Wouldn't that be great for the national team, for all of them playing week in, week out at that high of a level? I think that would be great for our national team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's in 1990 we had the Inter Milan trio, and
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like having blocks of people who play together is always positive. Yeah, I guess so.
Barcelona and Spain, Bayern and Germany. Like there are blocks of players that contribute healthily to the national team, and it'd be nice if the U.S. had something like that. And it'd be nice if it was at a top level like Serie A club. That would be great.
Rather than FC Dallas, you mean? The Ferreira Areola combo does not strike fear in the hearts of opponents.
So let's talk Paul Areola. I thought he was fine. He had that great move, keeping that ball in, bringing it into the field. Remember? Boom, 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 bring it in. I thought Paul Areola was. I love how Greg Berhalter at halftime was like, verticality. We need Paul Areola means verticality to him, and like Paul Areola, like he wasn't amazing. He was only in the field for a bit, but I thought he had a very positive second half. I'm not against Paul Areola. I think he's in good form. I think he's playing well for FC Dallas right now. I think he's a good
very high work rate as a fighter.
You know, of course, he's not as exciting as a Gio Reyna or Christian Pulisic or a Timo Weah, who Timo Weah continues to impress me.
He should play the 9. Alexi Lalas thinks.
Well, I think we've done that before, and the Reddit guys are talking about it, and I think I'm also in the camp against that, simply because he hates the 9. He's not good at the 9. He's just a great winger, and there's just no point to play a player out of position like that. Let's play. Brendan Aronson's a great. We have a lot of great wingers. We don't have a shortage of wingers, so that's why Paul Areola is like. Well,
I think the the thing to think about is like we keep finding these, in our desperate search for a 9, they keep running out these people who are nobody's really grabbed that position. And at some point, you got to just.
Haji Wright did not grab the position.
At some point, you just got to get your best players on the field, right? You got to find a way to rather than.
What I would do is I would have Timo Weah be a false 9. I know you hate that, but have him come in from the shadow and just have a rotation of different players going in the box at different times. Because if there is no one dominating that box, we can like play in, play out. We just don't have one. So, I mean, Haji Wright isn't really fully to blame because, again, that we're just not supplying up top as well. And for the number 9, they're just on the island sometimes. So, I mean, Haji Wright did 2 games, and other than that penalty, what do we see from him? Not much. So the number 9 position is still a quandary, and I would say our biggest unsolved mystery going into the World Cup. I think everything else, obviously, we'll find a goalkeeper, but we have goalkeepers. We just need to know who's going to play. I'm hoping it's Matt Turner. We'll see.
Sean Johnson is ready.
Sean John's ready. We'll see. But I think the biggest mystery is what are we doing with the number 9? What's going to happen with number 9?
So I have I have some trivia for you.
Oh, please.
In the well, this is just this on Twitter. There's always a lot of made, and I've talked about this before, and now it's like really a thing about the U.S. men's national team like reply guys on Twitter who just like hate everybody and they only love people that don't play for the team, who are like, right. Oh, why doesn't he play this obscure person in on the third team of Benfica or whatever?
Where's Dwayne Holmes? Where
are these Holmes? And then they play and they're like, oh, that guy sucks. You have to. And Paul Ariol and especially the MLS players are always they're
all trash because it's MLS and MLS is trash, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna name.
I know these men well, Bjorn. Right.
I'm going to name 4 players, and you tell me which one of these has played the most U.S. men's national team minutes this year. Jordan Morris, Paul Arriola, Joe Scally, Christian Roldan.
This calendar year?
This calendar year.
It's not Scally. I don't think it's Scally. For me, it's a tie between Christian Roldan and Paul Arriola. I'm going to say Paul Arriola.
Paul Arriola? No, Joe Scally has played the most minutes of these 4. Wait a minute. He had 130. He had 100. Joe Scally played a game and a half. He has 135 minutes. Jordan Morris this year is 133. Paul Arriola has 104. And Christian Roldan has played 6 minutes this entire calendar year.
I know Christian Roldan is getting he's getting a lot of heat because I remember Brian Schmetzer came out.
This is courtesy of
that's very surprising to me.
This is courtesy of Toodle Ramen on Twitter. He tweeted this today, so this is not I did not come up with this. It just goes to show, it's sort of much
unbiased.
It's much ado about nothing. There's a lot of vitriol and anger and a lot of upset directed at the the fourth.
And all they're getting is trash minutes anyway, right?
The fourth guy on the the person who's the 26th guy who's going to make the roster. Like, it really doesn't matter. Right. So people need to chill. People need to
Greg
chill
Berhalter,
and enjoy, and smell the roses.
Smell the roses. Greg Berhalter said 19 of the 26 spots were booked already, which is interesting. And there's about 7 spots still up in the air. I imagine maybe one of them is the keeper, and then maybe a couple of them are the wingers, maybe a couple of them are the number 9s. So it's good he has a decent idea of what his core roster is anyway. Tom, I should have listened to the question better. Yeah, it's a very interesting question because you wouldn't think that because Greg Berhalter gets stick for playing MLS guys too much, which is not stickable, like you're allowed to play MLS guys, and B, apparently factually incorrect because they just get trash minutes anyway.
Yeah, not that many. And if last year at the Gold Cup, a lot of MLS guys got a bunch of minutes, but that was by design. Right. I mean, he's found a bunch of good players, and anyway, there's often a lot of.
When was the USA Bosnia game? That was in January, though, right? That was only MLS. The Jordan Morris played a few minutes then.
Yeah.
And I think Christian Roldan played a full 90. Did that count that game too?
If it was this year, then he didn't play full 90.
No, he played Christian Roldan. Well, maybe not a full 90. Christian Roldan played against USA Bosnia. He was number 10. Maybe he came off the field at the 75th minute or something. But anyway.
That was last year. That was in December.
Maybe it was December then. Maybe that's okay. All right, that makes sense. In fact, I do remember that being in December because it was before Christmas. Santa Claus in the stands. Okay, now I remember. All right. Well, see, there you go. There's some facts. But what I will say is overall, the 2 friendlies, very positive. Confident win against Morocco and a confident face-to-face tie against Uruguay, which is traditionally one of the strongest teams in Latin America. And just a great team. They are going to the World Cup. They've got a great team getting ready. They got, Uruguay are not pushovers. They're a good, formidable opponent. And we were not bothered by them. And so that's a good sign. Good sign. Tom, CBs are.
Yeah, we haven't. It's true. We haven't talked about the center backs. I mean, people hate Aaron Long with a passion, too.
I don't know why. Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, Chris Richards. Those are good, solid dudes. I'm not worried about our CBs, to be honest. I mean, who else is there? EPB had a bad showing. CCV had a little bit of underwhelming showing.
I think Palmer Brown hurt himself more than Scally did. I think.
I agree.
I mean, I think he's really probably he was.
Yeah.
And CCV, he looked CCV good. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's an open position. Those are all. Yeah, I agree. This is
and then there's the issue of John Brooks. Is he ever going to get recalled, or is he officially cut? I think he's done with.
We'll see.
I think Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long were strong enough to be we don't need John Brooks. I think we're done with John Brooks. I'm not too worried about our center backs. Miles Robinson was not our best center back. So if Walker Zimmerman or Miles Robinson had to be injured and miss a World Cup, I'm glad it wasn't Walker Zimmerman.
You think Walker Zimmerman's better than Miles Robinson? All right.
Yeah. Walker Zimmerman is a great center back. He's in his prime right now.
Miles is a better passer, no?
Maybe, but again, just shot stopping.
I guess it all depends. It all depends on.
I really like people that can stop you in mid game. I like people that take the ball from you. Walker Zimmerman's good in the air.
He's just a feisty. He's just a guy you want on your team for sure. Yeah.
I mean, Walker Zimmerman has spent the last year earning number 1 CB to me. Brooks will be the surprise ticket. Yeah. Well, the thing is, Brooks is locker room poison. I think if you hear the rumors. So even as a backup,
but if anybody else twists an ankle, I don't know. They gotta. We'll see. Well,
who's that guy who plays in Bell? Mark McKenzie. Mark McKenzie's still around. Maybe he'll bring it. I think
his stock has dropped.
Well, yeah, but I think in the national team, I think he would bring Mark McKenzie over John Brooks. And that would be a crystal clear message that John Brooks is not welcome in the locker room, not for this squad. I mean, who else is there? I think Aaron Long, I'm glad he's back and healthy. I think Jordan Morris still has to be a little healthier. When Jordan Morris is in his prime, he's one of our best players. I just haven't seen that yet from him. He's got a long road to recovery. But when Aaron Long is on his game and Walker Zimmerman are on their game, those are our 2 best CBs. No problemo. I have no problem playing them over anybody else. Even Chris Richards. Chris Richards is good. He's great. But he hasn't been head over heels stronger than Aaron Long or Walker Zimmerman, not in my opinion.
He was hurt, right? Or wasn't he?
Yeah, he was hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Is Chris Richards? Yeah, Shaq Moore. But Shaq Moore is a winger.
Shaq Moore's a winger, yeah.
Who just won promotion to the Liga, right? Am I wrong? I know he's in the playoff.
I think they have one more. I think he has one more game to play. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a final. Hopefully, he'll make his way to the top.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Challenge himself a little more. Shaq Moore's been hit or miss, but when he hits, he hits.
So he's been very solid when called upon. I don't know. Yeah. I got nothing. No beef with him.
Reggie Cannon's been doing great. Andre Ledley isn't perfect, but I still like.
Yeah, on the right side there are a lot of options. The left is a lot thinner.
Yeah, thin. That's where it's Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, and then Scally, Bello, Vines.
We'll see.
I mean, who's on the left?
Yeah, we'll see. All right, have we done it?
I think we did it. I think we had a good week. So we had two ties and a win for our boys, for our teams. So not the best, but not the worst. Nothing to cry about. And overall, I think a solid performance. Germany, England tomorrow. What's your prediction, Bjorn? Germany, England tomorrow.
England lost to Hungary. We're playing at home.
It's in Germany.
This is in Munich, right? It's Allianz Arena.
Where they beat us 5-1 once upon a time.
We're gonna win 2-1.
2-1. Yeah, well, I agree. Or it might be just another sleepy 0-0 draw or something.
I don't think. I mean, they need to really show something. This was not a good performance on Saturday, and Hansi will not stand for that.
I hope so. I hope Hansi will not stand for that. I would love to beat. This is a competitive game. It is a friendly plus 25% or whatever you call them. Tom says Germany 2-1. I'm gonna cave into peer pressure. Morgen Deutschland 2, England 1. Tomorrow Germany 2, England 1. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Excellent. This has been an international break show.
Yeah.
Next week we'll have more international games to talk about. USA will have 2 Nations League. We'll see the great USA defeat maybe the great Grenada. Maybe.
Ooh.
Germany plays Italy again, right? But before next time they played Italy.
Yeah,
twice.
and Hungary. Yep.
And Hungary. So we'll see what they've been up to. And as we keep on rolling, getting ready for the Weltmeisterschaft, the VM. Tom, thanks, bud.
Thank you, Tom.
And tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss. Mach's gut.